honor of presenting one of our first guests today. Dr. Armando Bardisa is a pharmacist by trade and an entrepreneur at heart. Founded South Miami Pharmacy Solutions located in South Miami in 2003. S&P provides compounding, fertility, specialty drugs, and retail services throughout the Southeast United States, becoming one of the top independent pharmacies in the country. Dr. Bardisa has received many awards for his notable achievements, and his successes have been noted in many prestigious publications. Dr. Bardisa has served on the Pharmacy Development Services Board of Directors and is a founding member of NSU College of Pharmacy Dean Advisory Council, and is a recipient of the 2016 Celebration of Excellence Distinguished Alumni Achievement Award.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ambassador Haley Perkins, and I am from the class of 2018. I have the honor of introducing the next guest. Dr. Christina Lorenzo is the clinical pharmacy manager and the pharmacist in charge of the customer care operations for Walgreens Company. Dr. Lorenzo Celdran holds 20 active pharmacist licenses, which she uses to oversee policy in 12 different states. Dr. Lorenzo focuses her entire career on increasing patient adherence, transforming the corporate volume into improved value, and by managing regulations that encourage stronger relationships with physicians and associated healthcare teams. Dr. Lorenzo has been with Walgreens for 12 and a half years. Dr. Lorenzo graduated from NSU College of Pharmacy, the Puerto Rico campus, in 2007.
Thank you both for being here today. It's a great honor to have you both, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules. I think we're done now after she announced everything that you guys do. I'll actually start off with Christina. I want to start with you, actually. What kind of opportunities did you take in school or out of school that led you into this opportunity? I want to start because we had a great conversation actually in your office, and it was pretty inspiring to know that you had aspirations from the very get-go.
During pharmacy school, when first I decided to go into pharmacy school, I really did not know anything about pharmacy. So first one in my family, I don't know, one day I woke up, I'm like, I want to become a pharmacist. So I started that path. And then once in pharmacy school, I did have the opportunity for an internship with Walgreens. So I took the internship from year one, and being in the field, obviously a career that I loved, I started wanting to do a little bit more. So not only just wanting to, be a pharmacist dispensing, what else was out there? Having the opportunity with Walgreens since day one, I started to see, okay, is this what I want? Is this the path that I want to take? By going, when I had to move to Florida in 2006 to do my rotations, I didn't work, focused on school. Once I finished, I came in, I called Walgreens. I'm like, I'm an intern. I'm free for a month. What can I do? And I started my internship with Walgreens. But then they had different programs within the internship where they took us to the corporate offices just to be able to get other experiences. When the CCO opened, I was like, you know what? Let me just give it a try. Because I already tested out. I knew what retail was all about. So I wanted something different. Went into the CCO and started seeing that was the future of pharmacy. And that's where I wanted to continue to grow.
So you took some risks, and we'll get into what you do now exactly, and it's very inspirational. Doc, with you, what was some of the opportunities you took in school and out of school that led you to where you are today?
So I got my consultant pharmacy license. I always knew that, I was working for Walgreens, and Walgreens is a great company. But I knew that I wanted to do something a little different, not just your traditional job, right? So I tried working at a hospital. So I worked for Baptist for some time. I got my consultant's license, and I was just kept trying different things until something really felt right. Finally, I stayed at Walgreens for 7 years as a pharmacist, pharmacy manager, 10 years in total. I started as an intern, and then finally I really saw an opportunity to do retail community pharmacy the right way. And so I cashed out all my Walgreens stock and my 401k and everything, and I said, I'm out of here. Thank you guys, and I'm gonna go do my own thing. And that's one of, maybe not the first time, but one of many, many times I've been called crazy and you can't do it, so, yeah.
So you also took a risk on yourself, and we
sure.
actually had a financial event not too long ago And we spoke about that actually, about taking risks on yourself and investing into yourself. So
Yes.
that's awesome. Starting back with you, Christina, when you wake up every morning, what is your driving force? Because there's something that tells you, I need to do more. And we spoke about that as well. I thought that was, that passion that you had every morning.
So I wake up every morning. My passion is my family, right? I have a 1.5-year-old daughter, and I definitely want to make her proud and want her to look up to me as her mom and be like, you know what? I have an awesome mom, and she kicks butt every day at work, right? But then my passion for what I do is definitely the future of pharmacy. Walgreens, where I am located, we are the future. We host 70 pharmacists in the Miami facility alone. We take new prescriptions, patient consultations for different states. We have different routes. We have the pharmacy chat. We have MTM programs exclusive where we complete over 100 CMRs per day. And these are pharmacists, they spend about 20 to 30 minutes with each patient. So what inspires me every morning is knowing that I'm gonna go and do something different for our profession and for our career. Because yes, retail, Walgreens, all the big retailers have that, but the small center I work for, we're doing something innovative. And just knowing that I'm part of that and knowing that I'm frontline to making a lot of decisions, it's inspiring.
So your opportunities are inspiring to open new opportunities.
Exactly.
And the fact that you're in charge of so many people, I'm sure it becomes very stressful, but you look at it more so as another opportunity to lead.
Yes.
Doc, we spoke very heavily about some of the conferences you go to and so forth like that. I know we talked about the Tony Robbins and,
Sure.
and so forth, and that's not some cheap stuff there. What is your driving force every morning?
My driving force, like Dr. Lorenzo said, is my family for sure, first and foremost. But on the professional side, it's really leaving a legacy, leaving the profession better for being part of it. I love what you guys are doing, the CMRs and really doing things, just not your traditional dispensing. And so that really is my driving force: leave a legacy out there, leave the profession better, and really mentor, the up and coming students. We've got a ton of interns that come through and a lot of people shadowing and we really get a kick out of that. I love that. We've got 140 employees and I'd like to think that, they're better for being part of SMP. We all drive each other, to take it to the next level and it's really awesome to see, somebody coming in and just being part of the company for a few years and you could just see their level of expertise just getting better and better and better. So.
Well, both of you is crazy to me. When I spoke to each of your employees that I was introduced to, they all had so much passion and fire. I don't know if you told them that an inspector was coming or something, but they were definitely fired up and ready to go. And everything they said to me, their vision was your vision, both of you. And so I think that was a wonderful thing to hear. If you can, Dr. Lorenzo, can you tell us a little bit about a day in your a normal day for you?
Okay, so every day is different. Typically, we have right now we have 350 employees. We have different line of business, about 70 pharmacists, approximately 150 technicians. We're about to hire 25 more. And then we have the non-clinical portion that is just the regular Walgreens.com. So I manage all the clinical line of business. And one of the big thing is ensuring that the team is engaged, right? It's a big engagement, especially when you work in a call center environment where they're sitting down taking calls one by one. So typical day, walk in, I just do my howdies, make sure I say hi to everybody, first floor, second floor, just kind of see how they're doing and connect at that personal level. And then after that, it's just crazy of conference calls for every different line of business, right? Right now, we're piloting our NTM program, started in May last year. So we're almost a year into the program, which we're extremely excited. I started with 4 pharmacists, and now I have 13 pharmacists that do MTM. We do the MTMs for the Walgreens store, so then the store has more time just to deal with their patients. And now every pharmacist just wants to be part of MTM. So they come to my office, Christina, how do I become an MTM pharmacist? What do I need to do? A lot of it has to do with the scheduling process, but just getting that. And then we have the technicians, they're doing the outbound calls, they're getting the patient on the phone, so we save that time. to then transfer the call over to the pharmacist when the patient's already on the line and we're ready to go. So it's just all the processes. So that was one of the processes that I developed from day one. Walgreens didn't have this program, and I literally came back from vacation, and they're like, here's your project, run with it, go with it, do anything you want, what do you need? So it was like, okay, I need a project manager, I need workforce involved, so it's like letting them know and just developing that. So that's some of the decisions that I make. In addition to that is anything in regards to scheduling, working with the workforce department, working with HR, human resources for any issues. So it varies on a day-by-day basis. The hot topic of the week, what will it be? And then a lot of times it's legal. So regulatory-wise, on a monthly basis, I had to meet with all the Walgreens lawyers and say, okay, what state do we want to go into? What state can we centralize? Does that state allow centralization? So working on myself, basically reading the law, getting together with all the other picks from all the other facilities, and verifying, okay, yes, we can centralize that state, partnering with the CPO in Orlando, what states are there in. So it just varies. It could be as easy as saying good morning to people and meeting with the team, all the way to regulatory.
So you just show up to work and collect a check, right?
Yeah, just a little bit.
So I know that you were just talking about a lot about the business side of it, and we'll get into that a little bit more. And I love that. And I think there's a lesson from any industry or any profession is that we're now moving into the understanding of you have to know it all. You have to understand the system. How important is employee morale for you? Because I know when I was at your location, you were celebrating a bunch of different employees as well.
Yes. We've noticed, and I know for a fact, at least when I graduated pharmacy school, if you work in retail, you work on retail, and you get to know your team, right? Your technicians are your team. We'll buy pizza. We'll eat out. But when you work in a big corporation, when you have a site with 300 employees, like how do you keep that morale up? How do you keep everybody engaged? We do surveys twice a year just to make sure that we're driving that engagement, and they tell us how they feel that we do, either on our leadership effectiveness, on our action planning, and we do different activities. You saw the calendar. We have a calendar out every month. Today is actually Caramel Day because it's National Caramel Day, so we give out caramels to everybody. We do pizza. That day that you came in, we were recognizing our senior technicians. We have some technicians that are off the phones and they just assist their supervisors. They assist me if anything that I need. And we don't give them enough recognition, right? Because we're like, I need this, I need that. And you know what? Let's take a pause and let's just buy them lunch and give them a little certificate. We had a healthy competition between our seniors and our supervisors, handling phone calls and who got better scores from the patients. And they won. So that's why we also give them the lunch. But it's important because every day you don't know which life you're touching, right? You walk into work, and if you just come in focused, if I come into work and I just walk to my office, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so busy. I'm already on a conference call walking in. And if I just sit in my office all day, I'm not giving anybody anything. I'm just coming in, do my job, and go home. And definitely that's not the type of environment that we want, that we strive for. So it's just always just ensuring that everybody is satisfied.
Well, I know the day that I was there, you had healthy food, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Doc, if I can say, what is a normal day? Because I would say it's an abnormal day on a daily basis for you. So what is a normal day for you?
There is no normal day. I work out of the office a lot. It's one of the things I enjoy. I enjoy that no day is the same for sure. But a typical day in the office would be a day where I meet with the managers and see what's going on, where the fires are, what needs to be taken care of. And I work a lot on the vision of the company and really, ensuring that everybody's pointing at the right direction. Sometimes, you put the goals out there and you got to revisit them very frequently to understand that, some people get it and some say they get it, but their actions don't always show that they get it. So you're constantly reassessing and talking not just with the managers, but with the people, with everybody else, So I like to connect with the managers because that gives me more of a 30,000-foot view. but I also like to put, Mary, hey, Mary, let's go, let's go, let's take a few minutes and I'll like interview them. And you could see them like, the people that have been with me for a long time, they understand that, but the ones that just started here, they're like, why is he doing this? But yeah, to me, it's really important that you know what's going on, not just from the top, but from the bottom. That's really important as well, because they're the ones that are in the front line.
Oh, yeah, and we talked about that as well. We talked about the top-down, bottom-up kind of
Yeah,
effect and
for sure.
how important it is to raise the individuals that do put in the work and
Yep.
put in the work ethic.
Yeah,
So how important to you is your employee morale?
that's one of the most important things. When you walk into my building, you see everybody's happy. People are, of course, they're going to have a bad day. People are going to get into fights every now and then, but generally you walk in there and you feel it. Everybody has gone to that store where you walk in and the two clerks are talking to one another. They don't even greet you, and you're just like, I'm never coming back here again. So I really make it a point to have really positive culture and really positive environment there. An environment that people thrive. I mean, we just got back from triathlon. I don't know if you got some pics of that. We'll show you later on. But we just had a triathlon for St. Jude's. So we raised like whatever, $12,000 or something like that for St. Jude's. But the nice thing is that, I don't really have to push the team anymore. It's just like it's taken on a life. This was year 5 or 6, I think. And now I think we had 17 teams this past year, which was awesome. But getting back, a typical day is doing things like that. I also meet a lot with doctors, doing a lot of business development, making sure, just getting the word out and making sure they understand that we're a great partner for them.
But you were kicking me out because you had to go to more meetings that day too. So
Yeah.
I know you're a busy guy. If students were to be interested, which I definitely know they are, into each one of your lines, so Dr. Lorenzo, if they were interested to come to your position, how would you engage them and what would you recommend for them to do now so they can start to prepare?
We do offer the rotation for the fourth-year students. But I just say, if you're interested not only in just retail, interested in management, interested in being frontline, school you have your courses that you have to take, but show that initiative if you're working right now. If you're working or doing your rotations, take that initiative to say, you know what, or read upon management. What is it about? Do I like dealing with people? Just like you said earlier, when you're in a management position, you want to know everything that's going on. So you have to talk to everybody. So in the pharmacy, you're just dealing with a customer and that's it. But in at least where I am, I deal with the technician, the cleaning lady, making sure that everything's okay, a new process. Like today, there's apparently bad storm in Muscle Shoals. So we have some pharmacists and technicians in Muscle Shoals, so they might not be able to go to work. So now we have to get our technicians here. Can we do overtime? So it's making sure that you multitask, making sure that you care, and is the management, at least for my line of business, if management is something that you want to do and be innovative and open. That's the biggest thing. I like what you said earlier about the goals, and we have a lot of goals where we work. And I know sometimes it's like, I can only talk to people, and no, the goals are reassessed, and we monitor, because frontline, I have to talk to the pharmacist and say, you know what, I gave you a goal of 150 seconds to talk to a doctor's office, but I see that everybody is at 170. So that means that my goal is incorrect, so I need to reassess and readjust.
Would you recommend I would always tell students and anybody, networking is so important. Would you recommend any groups to be involved in or specific networking events that you would say that would help line them up for your position to be in that management role?
I don't know of any right now, but I do that.
Just hang out with you?
Just hang out with me, no. But I do, if when you do your rotations, make sure that you have your preceptor's information, and then any type of networking. I don't do enough, I think. I just became a manager about 2 years ago, so I'm starting to kind of see the importance of the networking and knowing, so I can have that in my pocket and learn from other colleagues.
So, Dr. Bardisa, we were speaking earlier when you were introduced about how you do fertility compounding at your location, one of the locations. So there's a retail side. You do have automation, which I love to see. We talked about how important the clinical aspect and the pharmacist being in a role to consult, actually.
Sure.
So what would you recommend for students to do to line themselves up for your role?
Well, definitely keep your eyes and ears open. There's opportunities all around you. You just got to be open to them. You may not really even understand it's an opportunity, but just be open to it. When you choose your rotations, choose them wisely. Really do some research and make sure you're doing rotations that are going to give back to you and you're going to learn, instead of just doing the time and moving on to the next one and looking forward to your graduation. A lot of rotations are job interviews, really. I've got, I would say, 4 pharmacists that I could think of. Maybe I missed a couple, but at least four solid pharmacists, and some are managers now, that were interns. And so they're like, you know what, I like it here. So they did 2 or 3 rotations, and we're like, well, we like you too. Why don't you just stay on when you graduate? And so keep that in mind, that your rotations can be job interviews, extended job interviews. Network for sure. That's a big one. Guys, and you guys are the future. I know you've heard that, and I don't want to sound cliche, but you guys really are the future, and you guys know that it's not going to be about dispensing meds anymore. So keep your eyes open and be open to different opportunities. And, that's...
How many Nova alumni do you have working for you?
Bill, do you know? I put him on the spot for you. No, I don't know.
I think there was 5 that I
At
saw.
least, yeah.
And how many with you?
At least like 20. At
So,
least 20.
so there's opportunities, and I think as you walk through this path, you understand as well what other students are walking through, and you can say, I understand that, I can vouch for that. And so that's a huge thing. And again, like what you said, it's a job interview.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Lorenzo, what would you say, this is where the fun part comes, what would you say the best part of your job is?
The best part of my job, I would just say, okay, so in pharmacy, in the retail setting, you're helping customers. Right now, the best part of my job is helping all my employees. They can come to me for anything, and just being able to assist them, even if it's, I need a PTO day or I need this. In addition to that is being frontline. I think being part of that decision making, it is nervous, right? Because Christina, here's this project, develop it. And I'm like, I don't even know where to start, but let's start. Just kind of knowing that at least the CCO, we continue to grow, we continue to add stores, we continue to be in other states, we continue to add more work for the pharmacist and more line of business. It's just, for me, it's the best. Just knowing that maybe 10 years from now, all the retails, right, CVS, everybody has the type of call center that we have, and knowing that we're opening so many jobs for our new pharmacists, and knowing that I was there when it all began and became such a crucial part of it, satisfies me.
Well, you're in 12 states, right? You manage 12 different states?
We take calls for 12 different states.
And you have 20 licenses?
I have 20 licenses, yes, because the facility, to be able to become of non-resident, for us to do pharmacy chat. So the pharmacists are chatting, they're doing consultations via the chat platform. Our facility needs to be licensed in all 50 states plus DC. Therefore, some states require to provide us with a non-resident license that the pharmacist needs to be licensed in that state. So since I'm the pharmacist in charge, I had to take all the tests. So it took me about 2 years to do all additional 18 that I had, because I already had Florida and Puerto Rico, to do all the additional states. Some states you have to travel. So that was also a huge experience, just going to Arkansas, having to take the paper test, because they're still very paper tests, and then going to an interview in front of the board, Oklahoma, Louisiana, so it was interesting, but yeah, so we support states, and we're looking to expand to see what other states can we support.
Well, you say expand, and it's funny because Dr. Bardisa said the same thing. He's looking to expand, and what I love about both of you is that you love to create, and that's your true passion. It's like you want to build, see it grow, and see other people enjoy that passion. It's similar to what we're doing here at NSU College of Pharmacy. We want to see the vision grow and expand, and people also jump on board with that. But just like you said, you don't have to tell them every day about it. They just jump on board now. So, Dr. Bardisa, what would you say would be the best part of your job or the part that you enjoy the most?
I love doing what I do. I'm blessed. I mean, I come to work with a smile on my face every day. I love it. What's the best part? Being dynamic. I wouldn't be happy in a place where I'm doing the same thing every day. That would just drive me insane. So that for sure, the fact that it's dynamic, the fact that we're creating, the fact that we're trend setting. I think trend setting is a big thing, and I think trend setting in pharmacy in general, now's the time to make some trends out there, guys. So yeah, that.
So, Dr. Lorenzo, I know this is a cliche question, but what kind of failures have you had in your career or while you were in school, and how would you advise students now to overcome some failures in their life moving forward?
The type of failure I think at the beginning of my career, I was more shy, right? I didn't ask that many questions. Choosing rotations, I should have been more dynamic in what rotation. It was difficult for me because I lived in Puerto Rico and then I had to come here, and it was like, I don't know anybody, right? But we did have a really good relationship with our president from the Davie campus. So I wish I would have used that a little bit more to see, okay, a little bit more networking while I was in school. Because I didn't. I'm like, I don't know, I have to move to Florida, and you're all focusing on where am I gonna live, this and that I didn't focus so much on choosing the correct rotations. I think at the end of the day, I did get excellent rotations throughout, and that did teach me and kind of like led me to where I am today. But you hit it right on spot. You want to do that research. You want to make sure that you're choosing something that you want to follow in the future.
And I think a lot of people miss out on that, especially while they're in school. The college pushes it, but when you're younger, you don't realize the opportunity that are in front of you many times. And like for myself, I went out and I was like, let me get the easiest rotations, and that didn't benefit me at all. And when I found the individuals that I had were the hardest on me, I learned so much from them. And I realized that you gotta press yourself. You gotta stress, and you gotta be able to build and character build and personal branding and so forth. So Doc, with you, what kind of failures have you seen in your career or in school, and how would you advise students to learn from and take risks on themselves?
So there's two things. One, failure, but I'll leave that second. Definitely don't take no for an answer. I mean, that sounds, but really don't take no for an answer. I've been told I can't, so many times. I'd be in the Bahamas hanging out if I had $1 every time somebody said I can't do it. So definitely believe in yourself and really go out and do it. I told you can't leave Walgreens. You can't go up against, the big chains. You can't open up, in this little store. It's only 1,500. Our original store is a little box of 1,500 square feet. We're kicking out 800 scripts, and everybody's doing, what the hell are these guys doing? So it's just been interesting, but yeah, definitely don't take no. You can't build on US 1. You can't tear down a gas station because Durham is going to be so many things that they said you can't do. So definitely never take no for an answer. But learning from a failure. Well, that's the first step, learning from your failures, not just taking a failure as a failure, but actually taking it as a learning opportunity, right? But like a failure was, when we opened up our second store, we had all our managers all in one store, and we had all these synergies, and all the managers would bounce ideas off of each other's, and it was great, right? And then so we split them, and I had some managers here, some managers there, and all of a sudden they weren't as effective, right? And that was like the 1 year, I would say, that we weren't that good. So we really took a hit. And I always knew I wanted to do independent pharmacy on a fairly large level scale. And I always envisioned, having brick and mortars all over the state and then all over the Southeast. And then when that happened, I learned that I don't want that anymore. And what we did was we consolidated everybody under one roof, and had the shipping company and delivery company, and now I've got, reps throughout, but we've got one hub and we're shipping from that hub instead of having brick and mortars all over the place. So that's one thing that I think we learned, and we've been able to definitely improve on that. Oh, I just remembered another one. So during that time, it was 2010 when we opened up the new building, right? It was the first time that we weren't a good company. I mean, the whole time I was there. So this is kind of like, and Dean and I have had long conversations around this, but I'll just kind of keep it to a 2-minute. So for the first half of our life, I would say, I was there. I was the manager. I was the living, breathing policy and procedures manual. I was it. So how do we do that? What kind of a discount do we give this person? What do we do? And I was there to answer. When we broke off into 2 stores and we got that much bigger, I was forced to have managers manage and manage without my, and so there's 2 things that we figured out. One, I don't want brick and mortars everywhere. And number 2, I really went back and learned and studied a lot. Went back and learned what it is that it takes to be a good entrepreneur, what it is that it takes to be a good manager, what it is to be, that it takes to be all these things that I needed to learn that I really wasn't polished enough because I was doing it myself. And so I think we went from being a good company that I was kind of like the doer to really a good company where now I could scale up and really just deal, scale up almost indefinitely. So that loss actually was eye-opening to the point where, okay, I went back and worked on myself and now we could just expand to as big as we want to. So it was a good thing.
And I think that's a huge lesson for everybody is that failing doesn't mean you fail or are a failure, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So failing doesn't mean you're a failure. You took it as an experience, you looked at where you made mistakes or how you can improve, and now where many independents are closing down, you're expanding.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge thing to look at. Dr. Lorenzo, the word leadership. We went over this a little bit in your office, and I know Doc will get to you as well because we had some great conversation, but what does it mean to you? What does leadership mean to you, and what type of traits would you like to see in others?
And so a lot of people, when they think of leadership, they just think of a boss, right? But you can't see it that way, right? You're not leading others, you're leading with others. So you want to make sure that you're taking into consideration every aspect, right? A great leader is not somebody, like I said earlier, just to sit down, send emails, tell people what to do, and that's it. No, it's walk around the floor. What's working? What's not working? How can we make it better? Any ideas, especially to the front line. So the type of leader that I like to be is, I know nothing. Let's all sit in a round table. These are my ideas. What are your ideas? And how can we work together to implement them? One of the sayings that we say a lot on my job is like, they don't work for me, I work for them. So we tell our employees, you don't work for me, I work for you. How can I help you? And I think that's a great trait of being a leader, right? Because anybody can be a boss and just kind of walk in and, give orders and then go home and, I'm busy, close my door and I'm not doing anything. But no, it's just learning the process and knowing everything. One of the things for myself, I was on the phone. So I know PCC, I know the standard operating procedures because I lived it. But I haven't been on the phone for a really long time. So new things that happen, I'm like, let me test it. Let me sit next to one of the pharmacists that are taking those calls. Pharmacy chat. I've never chatted before. So I spend a good 2 or 3 hours, sometimes a week, just sitting next to the pharmacist, verifying, see how they're chatting. They're doing 2 chats at once. I'm like, okay, how are you talking to this patient and this patient at the same time? Well, while they're reading the information, I can ask the other patient what they need. But that's something that I never did, but I manage it. So as a leader, I can't just say, these are the numbers that you need to hit. I need to know what's going on and be part of the process.
And Doc, what would you say?
I could not agree more. I love that answer. It's great. You got to walk the walk. You have to. You have to. I was, when we started, I was the technician, pharmacist, manager, delivery guy, marketing person. So there's nobody that could tell me, it takes this long, or I can't do it, or you have a pretty good idea of how much work a good employee should kick out because you've done it yourself. Mm-hmm. I think a good leader needs to be inspirational for sure. They need to understand, the vision, and they really just need to And some people don't get it, and that's fine. That, you know, you're not going to please everybody, and some people just aren't cut out to be part of your company. Some people walk into my store and they're like, "These guys are crazy. They're way too, they're nuts." So it's not for everybody, but the people that get it, you're going to get their loyalty no matter what. And I could tell your team is very loyal to you. You could just tell just from hearing the way you lead them. So yeah, I think you have to be an inspirational type of leader for sure.
Well, I think, again, we both spoke about this, that being a leader doesn't mean that you have to always be vocal as well. It means that you show up to work on time, do your job to the fullest, because you never know who's looking up to you.
Yeah.
And so there's leadership, like you said, on every level. What kind of techniques or innovations, you talked about the chat, have allowed you to engage further with your patients and create better customer service? Because I think we lose out on that sometimes, that we're in healthcare, that we think of always as a patient and rather as customer loyalty. So what kind of innovations or techniques have you used?
So we do have the pharmacy chat. Right now on retail, Walgreens is the only one that has a chat, and we're 24/7. So you could be chatting anywhere around the world. You need to speak to a pharmacist. It's going to be one of my 2 overnight pharmacists on one week or 2 overnight pharmacists on the other week that are on the chat platform just assisting. In addition to that, with the chat platform, one of the things that we're also testing and we're piloting right now is do phones and chat at the same time. Not at the same time, but I can either get a chat from a patient and then do the chat, or once I'm done with that chat, if the next thing on the line is a phone call, then we'll get the phone call. So just ensuring that the pharmacists have that diversity as well. And the big one is MTM. MTM, you know, it's not like, oh, just a simple consultation. You have to do that comprehensive. You want to make sure. And pharmacists come to me every day. They're like, oh my God, I just caught this patient is taking this with like all these interactions or adherence that patients are not taking the medications correctly. And then their passion for the MTM, I would love for you just to talk to those pharmacists. They're just so excited for what they're doing. And they're satisfied at the end of the day. It's like, okay, yes, I worked. It's not for everybody. I have some pharmacists that just want to come in, take prescriptions, and go home. But those that have that passion, that want to do, and be able to touch that patient at that level. And it could be a patient in Arizona or it could be a patient down the street in Miami Lakes. So that passion is just amazing. The different ways that we're touching our patients and ensuring that we're providing that customer service.
Well, I think CCO is an innovation in itself, because you're allowing the pharmacists in each store to have more time to actually engage with the patient at whole as well. Doc, we spoke about the automation and how it allows the pharmacists to become more clinical and consult and so forth. What other techniques would you say, or some of the innovations that you've utilized that allow you to engage with your patients more so?
Well, our pharmacists really make it a point to ensure that the patients are part of their healthcare. You know, so, you know, when it comes to compliance and that sort of stuff, they need to be part of it. And they get that this is all to reduce rehospitalizations, you know, to increase better outcomes. So once they get that, they fully understand that we've got their best interests. We're not just selling the medicine. Of course, we're doing that, but we want them to be healthy. The whole system wants them to be healthy, from the insurance company to the doctor, to the pharmacist, to the patient themselves. So once they really see it that way, I think it makes for a more compliant patient for sure, and a more loyal patient.
In 1 minute, if you can go back to the old Miss Christina Lorenzo in school, what would you tell her right now in order to prepare her for the future?
I would tell her to just follow your dreams. Don't take no for an answer. Don't be afraid to take risks. Telling you from me, I go back home, and even my parents look at me and they're like, we don't even know who you are. Little small hometown in Puerto Rico, no pharmacist, nobody in my family, and just being out there. So I would tell her, keep going, ask a lot of questions, make smart decisions, take advantage of the opportunities, and just keep going. Just strive for more, because there's a lot more out there.
And Doc, the young Armando Bardisa, what would you tell him right now if he was in school?
Invest in yourself for sure. It took me some time to learn that. So yeah, learn as much as you can. Invest in yourself, and be open to what others have to say. You know, a lot of times when you're younger, you think you know it all, or, you know, you take the time to listen to what others are doing, and really you could save yourself a lot of time by learning from somebody else that's doing what you already want to do, and asking the right questions and being open to some of the things that they've got to say.
And you're huge on these big speakers like we were talking about earlier. Would you tell yourself then to start paying attention to what other people have been through and they're talking about now?
Yeah, for sure.
So here's the other fun question I have for both of you. Since you are in very major roles and you are, like you said, the future of pharmacy, what do you actually see as the future of pharmacy? I want our students to understand. I want everybody out there to understand on our distant campuses as well. What do you see as the future of pharmacy?
I see the future of pharmacy innovative. But in addition to that, is just being part of the patient's complete health. Not just the dispensing portion, not just, you know, I need my refill, but being part of the full health. I would love to see the future of pharmacy be same thing. You have a doctor, you have a pharmacist, you have the patient, doctor can diagnose, pharmacist can go ahead and say, you know what, this is the medication that the patient needs. In addition to that, I want to see more. I want to see more type of care operations like the one I manage, because we do have the time to spend with the patient. Even when we do the consultations, I'm doing the consultation with the patient one-on-one. I don't have to be, you know, the drive-through or the phone. So it gives that personal view to the patient, and the pharmacist are able, and they become more clinicians because they become real experts of medications and diseases and what can we do to help the patient. So for me, the future of pharmacy is it's in your hands, definitely, but it's just continuing to grow and be that pivotal part of the healthcare for our patients.
Well, I think as well, when a lot of people hear about corporations, or just in general, just more specifically Walgreens, we hear about volume. And we always think that there's going to be value lost when there's more volume in any industry. And I think that's amazing what you're doing, because you're saying, no, we can do both. We can absolutely do both. We can create value where there's volume, and we can ensure that the patient's safety, efficacy, and happiness are there. Yep. Doc, what would you say the future of pharmacy looks like to you?
Right on. It's all about, you know, the patients staying healthier, staying out of the hospitals, staying healthier longer. And I think as a pharmacist and as a pharmacy profession, we could have a huge role in that and a huge impact in that. And I truly believe that a lot of our reimbursement is going to come through that. A lot of our compensation is going to come through that. Not so much the dispensing side. We keep talking about that, but it's coming. You know, it's just a matter of what are we going to do about it, and are we going to be able to take the initiative to say, you know what, this is what we could provide for the healthcare system. You know, we could reduce healthcare dollars by keeping these patients out of the hospital. And it's already happening, but we just got to take it to the next level.
Yeah, I truly see that. The value-based care, we're not in the business of just dispensing. We're in the business of truly helping patients and delivering that health care, not just sick care. So I would like to take some questions from the audience. So does anybody have any questions for our speakers today? Here you go.
This thing.
Sir, I just want to thank you, too, for both being here, because honestly, everything you guys were saying was exactly how I think, so it gives me more optimism. But I know you guys deal with policy and regulation in your own pharmacies and the things you manage. I'm just wondering, more general, like, say with the profession of pharmacy, do you guys invest a lot in going to, like, the Capitol, talking about different legislation to help bring pharmacy into more provider status rather than where we are today? So essentially, do you like help, do you fund lobbyists, or do you fund PAC organizations to really help make pharmacy grow to the next level, as you guys are saying?
I think that's a great question. I haven't gone myself personally. I've wanted to go. It's definitely on my to-do list in the next, year or two. Yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's extremely important to be on the lawmaking side for pharmacy, for sure. I think, unfortunately, some of the other healthcare professions have done possibly a better job than we have of ensuring that our value in the system. And I think we need to really step up our game when it comes to that, and make sure our lobbyists understand that. So yeah, I think we need to be very involved in that.
Okay, hi. My question is in regards to following the administrative pathway. It's something that I've been interested in. I've been working for Walgreens for a long time. However, the only thing that I'm really fearful of is that, being an administrative pharmacist, I'll end up like losing a lot of the information that I've gained here. Do you have any comments about that? Do you retain most of that information in like the healthcare?
You do have to keep yourself active, right? CEs are super important to keep myself, the way I keep myself active in regards to medications itself is based on CEs, where I do sit with a pharmacist, listen to calls, even the MTM calls, just kind of listen, but I have to do it on my own time because definitely my role right now, nothing of medication, nothing to do with pharmacy. So you can see where like, oh, there's a new drug. We do keep ourselves fresh with interns. We have interns come, they do a clinical newsletter, work with new medications, newer guidelines out there. But it's something that I keep myself during my CEs. I have 20 licenses, so I have a lot of CEs to do. So definitely making sure that I keep myself as up to date as possible with the pharmacy portion of it.
Yeah, I kind of enjoy having that patient relationship, and I feel like, do you lose a portion of that when you make that next step to the district level?
Yeah, because I'm not dealing with directly with the patients. So I see it in a different way, right? I love the patient interaction, right? That's what drove me into pharmacy from the beginning. I wanted that patient interaction. I don't interact with patients anymore, but I see my team as my patients, right? So how can I help them have a healthy lifestyle? The pharmacists, the technicians, all my supervisors, all my seniors. So it's still taking care of somebody, just in a different way.
Even though you're not, directly with the patients, you're exactly what you said. You're indirectly, and by having that role, you actually get to impact a lot more patients because now it's not just you doing it, but it's your 20 or 30 or 50 people that work for you that are doing it the way you guys decided would be the best way to do it. So you actually have more impact if you look at it that way.
Thank you so much for all your insights. It's been really nice to listen to you. So as leaders, the first and foremost thing, the first challenge is that apart from having your own responsibilities as a manager or as a director or a CEO, founder, whatever it is, you're also responsible for others. You're pretty much ready to step in for anything, any time of the day. So when you're dealing with so many things at the same time, like you're multitasking basically every hour. So what is the one thing or the few things that are basically you do to keep yourself going every day? Like how do you keep track of yourself and not fall behind in doing things because you only have 24 hours?
You want to take that one? I fall behind. For me, it's really important to have a to-do list. So I have a list. Everybody I work with, all my managers, we all have a running list. So I'll have a running list with Bill, who's my executive assistant, or some of the managers or the VPs of it's very important to have a running list, task list with whoever you have, and your own personal list. But it's also important to have a do not, kind of like a do not, I wanted to do this, but now I've reassessed it. It always goes back to reassessing. So at sometimes you think, I really want to do this, and you just reassess and you say, maybe I don't have time for this right now, and you just either get rid of it altogether or put it for much, much later date, like next year or the following. So you have to be willing to cross things off that list that you're just not going to do. If not, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're never going to get to every task. It's impossible. Yeah. But if you stay organized, it definitely helps.
Yeah, and definitely prioritize.
prioritize, yeah.
You have to prioritize, okay, what's important, what deadlines. So if I know something is due tomorrow, then I need to make sure that I get to that versus something that has a deadline for next week. It's difficult. I know for me, managing out of the 350, I think directly that report to me is like 250. And everybody, you know, it's like constantly in and out to my office or asking for this and that. And I have to learn to say, you know what? Can you come back a little bit later? Let me schedule an appointment, you know, put you in my calendar. So definitely just kind of being organized, but you have to prioritize to see what's due now and what's urgent.
I'm looking towards a career in informatics. I'm working towards the master's for biomedical informatics. I've noticed there, like even in my time, that there's a lot of change that's been going on with like computers as they play a more central role from like the difficult deal with dial-up to like lightning speed communication. So how has it changed your practice? And how much has it impacted it?
That's a great question. Right now, we have different platforms that we use and we test them. So right now, the chat platform, we use one program, and even MTM, both of them, we use one program and just kind of test it out and see what do we need. Does that program give us what we need right now? And we've noticed halfway, it's like, not really. You know, I want to use something different. So definitely the communications portion and all the computers, that's just constantly something that's going to be constantly changing. But you want to make sure when you start a program or when we start a program, we look at this is what we need. But throughout it, we reassess and say, well, I need something to do something different for me. And then we want to maybe go that route.
Guys, thank you so much for your questions. Dr. Lorenzo, thank you so much. Dr. Bardisa, I really do appreciate it. Guys, give them a round of applause. Really do appreciate them being here today. These are true examples of leaders within our profession, and I just can't say it enough. It's an honor to have you both here. Looking forward to lunch with you both. And we can discuss a little more. If you guys have any questions for either one of them and you would like to send them an email, you can have their contact information. I'll be able to provide that for you. But again, this is what we're pushing for. We do want to press, and we do want to push this profession forward. You know, we have a great vision here. I'd like everybody to give a huge round of applause to Dr. Daziel, please, because her vision is pushing us forward as well. So thank you, everybody, and have a great day.